Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Welcome to WC to Life podcast. You're here with your host Karen Oliver with another episode, and we have a special edition on today. I hope you guys are excited. I hope you guys are excited to hear the new promo and everything. I just want to say thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you so much for tuning in to the live interviews and sharing with your followers. Um, I want to thank all of my guests who came to interview with me and took time out of their day and to give out information that pretty much each and every one of us can take from. Today, um, we are going to be talking about the circle of life. And I hope you guys, I do have my screen up. So I hope you guys can see that. And it is a good thing that we are actually going to be talking about the circle of life. This is something that I pretty much, came and dealt with. Something that I have pretty much trained myself in doing, even years ago. I mean, even when we know to do something, and even when we know not to do something, it's like sometimes we can forget, and we have to get back to these things. And I have the circle of life pulled up, um, and you see the man and the woman with the umbrella. So the circle of life includes primary foods. And what they mean by primary, what do I mean by primary foods against secondary foods? So when you think of health and wellness, and you think of the well-being of your health, you think of, you want to say, wow, well, pretty much. So I'm thinking, just to stay healthy and to take care of my wellness, that I just need to eat the right foods and that I need to put the right nutrition in my body. But that's not the only thing that we as human beings need to do on this earth. It's more to life than just the food that we eat, that we put in our body to nourish our body and to stay strong and to live healthy. The most primary thing in our life is primary foods, and primary foods consist of the secondary foods. I'm sorry, the primary foods is these fundamentals here, which are basically makes up your mind, your body, your soul. What are you feeding your mind? What are you feeding your body? What are the things that we need to keep ahead of life? What makes us get up in our right mind, in our right attitude, in our right being? What is going on through our mind and our bodies daily? Those are the first steps. Those are the most primary things that we need to worry about before secondary foods. So, primary foods consist of, on our circle of life calendar, we have joy, spirituality, creativity, finances, career, education, of course, that big word, health, physical activity, home cooking, home environment, relationships, and social life. And so when we look at health and wellness, we never think about what is in our primary day to day basis. What is it that we need from day to day as a primary balance? For me personally, I consider primary foods as my primary balance, my first and foremost things that I do. And so when you're looking at this circle of life wheel, it's called the circle of life wheel. You want to look at it as what are, and this is just an example where I have drew on the circle of life. And of course, I did too. So mine looks a little bit different. And when you do the circle of life wheel and you connect the dots to where you're feeding your mind, body, and soul, is like what are the characteristics and things in your primary day that you are doing daily? What are some things that you're missing on your circle of life wheel? What are some primary things that you need to do? And you see here, if this is a first example, this circle of life wheel, it looks like that um, you could be a person who is you're very physical, so you exercise and you work out a lot. Physical activity, you're always on the go, you're always going, you're always doing. Physical activity can mean so much things. Um, then you have physical health beside physical activity. Then you have education, career, finances, creative. So the way that it's drawn, it looks like on this circle of life wheel that whatever was drawn on here, it looks like the connect dots go mostly to physical activity. And it looks like some of the characteristics of the circle of will life are missing. I wouldn't say 100% total missing, but it looks like that it needs to be a balance. So it's like when you're doing your circle of life wheel, there needs to be a balance, and you need to be giving every primary characteristics uh, attention. Basically saying, okay, if I'm giving home cooking, a home environment, relationships, and social life and joy attention, I need to make sure I give spirituality attention, creativity, finances, career, education, health attention as well. So it's like sometimes we can have half of our wheel done and other half of our wheel and our characteristics and our primary foods then fell off. And so that being said, I think it's important to balance each each characteristic of the primary foods. If I'm meditating and I'm praying daily, and then I need to make sure that I'm giving joy in my lifetime, relationships in my lifetime, home environment, my environment. I need to know what's surrounding my environment, health, education, social life. Sometimes we can get into a place where we isolate ourselves from some people and things. And sometimes that is good, but sometimes that's not always good because sometimes we can become complacent and isolating ourselves away for a very, very long time, not sharing anything with anybody, not being confident in who we used to talk to and who we used to conversate with. And sometimes that can be a negative, and sometimes we have to get back into the habit of, okay, the ones that I can confide in and the ones that I used to conversate with and the ones that I just used to be social with, I need to be able to be around, my family or be around my peers or friends or whoever that person in your life may be. Don't isolate yourself away from people who care about you or who has always been a go-to person for you or confide in you. And like I said, sometimes you do have to step back and you have to evaluate yourself and you have to make sure you give these primary characteristics on the circle of life wheel time. Everything needs to be equaled out because sometimes we can stay stuck on three or four different things, and then we get so stuck in just staying there, and the other half of our primary foods are just gone or down the drain, or we just like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep this to myself, or I'm gonna stay stuck on these three or four or five things, and then I'll just pick up the rest of the things later. So that's not good in primary foods and health and wellness. And I learned this in health coaching, is that you want to make sure that you're balancing everything out. And even if and listen, and I would say this too, don't focus on trying to get everything to be the same every day, or don't think that you're not going to miss something on your primary foods calendar. Don't think that even if you miss something, as soon as you think about it, or and I think writing it down in a journal helps. As soon as you think about it, be like, okay, I gotta go meditate today. I want to wake up this morning. I want to say my daily affirmation. I'm going to wake up this morning. I'm going to repeat this to myself, that I am somebody. I am more than a conqueror. I am beautiful. Whatever that case may be. Get up the next couple of hours. I mean, plan your day out, plan a schedule out. Even if it's not on that same day, you may have five primary foods that you're dealing with on a couple of days or one day, and then the next couple of days or the next week, you'll be like, okay, I'm focusing on my finances and my career path today, my education. Where do I want to go in life? All these things need to be planned out before you even get into secondary foods, before you even worry about, okay, what are some of the things that I need to eat? Before you do that, primary foods need to be balanced, and you want to make sure that you have a peace of mind and that you want to make sure that you're stable in all of these things in your mind, body, and soul. Relationships. It's so important to have good relationships. It's so important to connect with great relationships and good relationships because most relationships are not good for us. And sometimes we have to make a change in our relationships. And I'm talking about all different types of relationships, family, um, family relationships, that can be friends, that can be even dating, um, whatever the case may be. You want to make sure that your relationships are um, wise. You want to make sure your relationships feed to your daily life. Want to make sure that your relationships lift you up and not bring you down. You want relationships around you that will someone that's going to encourage you and push you to do the best, someone that's going to have you accountable and hold you accountable. And again, we talked about um, home cooking and health and creativity, and I'm just going through all of these tabs on the circle of life wheel. You want to make sure that you're being creative in your day-to-day walk. I'm not I'm not a creative person all the time, but I make myself be creative. I do different things out of the extraordinary, and I actually recently just started doing that some months ago. Like I always said, I'm not creative, and I was always the one that I took an art class. I learned to draw, and I haven't really did that in a while. And I'm like, wow, that should be something that I should put back on the creativity tab, even for myself. And so, and then you want to know where you're going in your career path. And like I said, home cooking goes with health. I mean, so it's like the more that we can start experimenting and cooking things at home, I can honestly say I have started eating more vegetables. I still from time to time I have did a tremendous change in eating more vegetables, because that was something that I did not always do was eat enough vegetables, and I knew that it was something I needed daily in my diet plan or whatever. And so I'm still working on things, but I can honestly say that I have done a tremendous change. And yes, I still eat some sugars, but I don't eat a lot of sugars, and I try to. I've learned to replace those sugars. And so again, just talking about food, you guys. Now I'm talking about home cooking. I'm talking about home cooking, which is on a primary um, circle of life wheel, but secondary foods, um, and as I was talking about vegetables, because that's a part of secondary foods. Secondary foods consist of organic foods and the foods that is nutritious and that you need to put in your body. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into that. And as I was saying, for me, um, I pretty much I didn't say I'm going to do away with all the sugars. What I did is I replaced the sugars. All you have to do is replace the sugars with uh, fruits and sweet vegetables. And I pretty much changed mine up with vegetables and making my own fruit shakes. And I also still do plant based. I do still do some plant based products, and so I've been switching it up with that. And so as long as you keep switching things up, it'll crowd out all the trans fats and all the fatty sugars that you need to crowd out. So they says don't never take something totally out. They said just replace it, and that's what I've learned. You know, as taking health coaches that you want to replace. You want to replace foods. You want to replace the things that you love and replace and just try and experiment on things as far as cooking. So home cooking is definitely on primary food. So you definitely want to do that. But I just wanted to share this with you guys that secondary primary foods against secondary foods. So which one do you think you need to do? Which one you think you need to do first? You need to adapt to primary foods. Primary foods need to be balanced before you get into secondary foods, before you even start a diet plan or a diet meal daily, before you even write it down, before you even implement your secondary foods and what nutritious foods that you're going to eat. Now you need to make sure that your primary foods is balanced, and that you are taking time to reach each and every one of those. And I'm gonna go over those again. And as you can see, it's spirituality, creativity, finances, career, education, health, physical activity, home cooking, home environment, relationships, social life, and joy. Joy is definitely big. When I look at the circle of life wheel in the primary foods, I looked at joy and spirituality, which was at the very top corner, because it is so important to feed your mind and your spirit. And it's important to be confident within yourself and to be committed to knowing who you are and who you want to adapt to. What are the things that you need to adapt to? What do you want in life? What do you want to achieve in life? And so primary foods is definitely important before you get to secondary foods. And so me personally, you guys, just an example, I have been following both wheels, primary foods, which is on the Circle of Life wheel now, and secondary foods. Again, I have switched up my meal prep. I don't prep yet, which is very good to prep. Is very good to prep your meal um, for the week. But again, you guys heard me say what I have been doing is I've been replacing some of the things that I've been eating. I cooked yesterday, and actually, I did cook tilapia fish. I did herbs, and I don't know if it was October beans, but it was herb and multigrain rice with beans, with herbs and broccoli, and I just had tilapia. I didn't have any starchy foods. I didn't have macaroni cheese or anything like that, which I really don't eat that anyway, but I do eat potatoes. And so I'm learning to, when I do want some of those items, I am learning to go to Whole Food stores and learning to buy organic foods. I have been intaking more and more of my water. But again, if I want a snack, I'm eating popcorn, or I'm eating something very light and something that's not heavy on cholesterol, sodium, or carbohydrates. And the carbohydrates is so different, you guys. So I would advise you to look it up and to look up these things, but also just go to the Circle of Life. Go to integrativenutrition.com and look up the Circle of Life primary foods against secondary foods. Again, this information really helped me out a lot, even in training. It really helped me. So it also helps you to change. It also helped me to change what I needed to change. And I kind of already knew plan, what kind of meal plan I needed to be on for secondary foods. So I knew what I need to cry it out and what I need to replace. So I'm learning, and I want to make sure I reiterate this to you guys. Do not ever take out anything as a whole, but make sure you replace it and crowd it out with other things. Like before you just do away with it and you don't have anything, you have to replace it and crowd it out with something. You have to replace it or crowd it out with, organic whole fruits or organic whole grains. Just learning about whole grains and everything in secondary foods, it's a lot, and it's definitely information that all of us need. But the most important thing, and the most important type of foods that we need before secondary nutrition food, is the primary food. And so that's why I wanted to show you guys the Circle of Life wheel. And these are the primary foods that we need daily. We need to implement them, and we need to give each and every one of them attention. And so I hope you guys have definitely, I hope this have definitely helped someone as it has helped me. And I also do want to come back later on, maybe later on. I don't know what month that would be, but I also want to do a second edition about secondary foods. If you guys would like to hear any more about secondary foods or primary foods, or just any feedback about that, and when you would like me to come and do another segment, I definitely would come and do another segment later on about this. But thank you guys for listening in. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for rocking with me on the WC to Life podcast, Women Committed podcast. And again, I hope to hear from you guys, hear your feedbacks or whatever. Thank you guys for sharing, liking, and following. And tune in as we will have a guest. I will have a guest on July. I'm sorry, this is not July, you guys. I ain't trying to go back. Um, August the 29th, I will have a guest at 12 p.m. That is on a Saturday. And that live interview will be uploaded on that very day. I will be meeting with a new guest, and I actually um, just met her. And so I'm excited. And her name is Juliet Santago. And she's going to be talking about her purpose and what she was called to do. So that is going to be a live interview on Saturday at 12 p.m. And I would definitely uploaded on all pack. So if you're get on your favorite podcast platform, and I also stream through YouTube. So if you want to catch us live, please catch us there. And then I have another guest coming with me to talk about her therapeutic organic business. And again, I'm excited because I know that learning the difference between whole foods, organic, like therapeutic, essential oils, and everything. I actually just got into the therapeutic oils about 5 months ago. So she's going to be talking about her organic therapeutic business. Her name is Sharita Thompson. She will be joining us on August the 31st. It will be that Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So tune in for those guests on the 29th and 31st. And I will see you guys then. Talk to you soon. Everyone, take care and be at peace. And thank you for joining again on the WC to Life podcast.